This is a place for planting, for digging, for harvesting, for relaxing. It's a place to get your hands dirty, but most of all, it's about having fun. And that's what you'll always have when you're in the garden with Doug Oster. You want a green thumb too, don't you? Why would a guy that has 300 tomatoes in the greenhouse be at the nursery buying more? Well, I did go to Hahn Nursery yesterday and ran into another obsessive gardener who was laughing about the same thing. But we are growing what we call cheaters here, and these are big with tomatoes already on them. We're going to do our first tomato planting today, but before we do that, we have a special guest who's going to help us turn our spring harvest into a great meal. Well, this is Meghan Rodgers from our sister website, Everybody Craves. I'm Everybody Gardens, and the idea today is going to be I'm going to teach her a little bit about gardening, and she's going to teach us a lot about cooking. I told you we got some Swiss chard, so you've come up with a recipe. What's it going to be?
Yeah, I have. Today we're going to make a garden tuna salad sandwich. And instead of using a wrap, we're going to use a Swiss chard leaf. And instead of mayo, since mayo is so bad for you, we're actually going to substitute avocado.
All right, I love mayo, so you're going to have to convince me there.
All right, I hope to do so.
All right, so I have Swiss chard here, but it's getting so warm this time of the year. This stuff was planted actually last fall. And so when things get warm, all these greens that are in here are going to go to seed. So they're going to all have to be harvested today. We always harvest in the morning because that's when the plants have the most amount of liquid in them. They haven't been dried out during the day, but I've got parsley and other greens. Do you think we can work that into the recipe?
I think so. I think we can throw that all in there.
All right, you're going to harvest.
Okay.
Cut at the very bottom, and we'll get to work and we'll get this all done, and then we'll go make some good food. You're a natural.
Oh, yeah.
It's so exciting for me to be able to overwinter greens like this. And if we don't get them out of here, like I said, they're going to go to seed and they'll be no good. So we'll just cut what we can out of here, and actually, hopefully, maybe some of them will come back and we'll be good to go. But this was what was called a mesclun mix. And so it's just all sorts of different greens, and you might even get a couple worms and spiders in here, but that's part of gardening. All right, I'm going to take this over when we're done, and you're going to show us how to make it into something good without mayonnaise.
Without mayonnaise.
I decided to make one stop before we go to cook because I know you're really into good food. This is the most nutritious plant on the planet. We collaborated a couple weeks ago on dandelions. That's dandelion leaves, and you're going to get to taste your first one right now.
Excellent.
Go ahead, grab one.
All right, let's pick a good one.
And then tell me what you think.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole thing. Go the other way. That's going to be more bitter.
Okay, here we go. It's really nice. It's very, very mild, nice taste.
And good for you.
Yeah.
All right, now show us what you're going to make for us. It's going to be good for us.
All right, let's go.
Tell me a little bit about the fun of creating recipes.
You know what? I love creating recipes because you can eliminate things you don't like. I mean, it's endless, really. You know, whatever you have in the garden, recipes like this are great because you can really throw in whatever you have available for harvest right then.
And you don't like mayonnaise, so that's the idea here.
Yeah, I came up with this recipe because I really don't like mayonnaise. I know, a lot of stepping on a lot of toes there, but so I try to come up with substitutes for mayonnaise all the time, whether it's a mustard, a vinaigrette, anything like that. So today we're actually going to use avocado as a substitute.
All right, what do we need to do?
Okay, so we're going to make tuna garden wraps. So we're going to use the Swiss chard leaves that we just pulled out of the garden. We're going to use those as our wrap, essentially.
Bigger is better?
Whatever size you're feeling here.
All
So,
right.
oh, that's a nice big one.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the leaves here, but they have these stems on them, which are going to make it really difficult to wrap. So the first thing we have to do is cut the stem off, and that doesn't have to go to waste either. You can chop that up and just throw it right inside the wrap.
When I cook chard, I usually cook these stems separately, kind of like asparagus.
Yeah.
Because they need to be cooked a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And then you don't have to do this, but I like to kind of just score the back a little bit. So that way, whenever you roll it, there's no problems with the little bit of that stem folding.
So this is going to be more tender, these smaller ones. That's the advantage of the smaller ones.
Yes.
The bigger ones are going to be a little tougher, especially when we get to that stem. That one's for me.
I like crunch.
Okay.
I think anything with a little bit of crunch to it is good. So.
Then this one's for you.
All right, the big one for me. That makes sense. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to put the tuna. We have...
Whole thing?
Yep, the whole thing. We have about 3 cans there.
Okay.
About 15 ounces of tuna. And the next thing we're going to do, I have about 3 whole avocados in here, and you can adjust this to taste. If you like your tuna salad really creamy, you might want to use all of them. If you just like to have a little bit of glue, you know, you might just use 1 or 2 of them. So
how much of this do you want me to put in?
Let's start with maybe 2 avocados. So
right.
4 of those, 4 halves.
Kind of crush it, or?
Kind of, yeah, just crush it in there, mix
right.
it. So we have some pre-sliced carrots.
You
there.
tell me how much. Whole thing, or?
That looks good.
Right.
And we can mix in some apples too. One more crunchy item, we have some walnuts too.
I'll tell you what, it smells great.
Good, I gotta make you a believer, remember?
I know, I know.
Okay, so we're also going to squeeze some lemon. So just a half of a lemon. If you wanna take a couple of the seeds out.
I thought that's
right
the
there.
crunch.
A little extra crunch. All right, let me squeeze juice of about a half of a lemon. Okay.
And I can see 4 seeds in there.
I tried.
We'll save those for James.
It's the special wrap.
And you have some dill there.
I have some dill, yeah. So we're just gonna break off a little bit here. And the last thing we need to add is some paprika or some cayenne pepper. Red pepper flakes, anything like that. You can leave this out if you don't like spice. I tend to put a little bit
We
of
like
kick
spice.
in everything I make.
We like spice.
Okay, so then we'll double up here. Okay, so we'll roll up a little bit here, and then we can bring the sides in.
There you go. So what you're saying is I did it wrong.
I stopped short of saying that, but.
All right, James, come on around this side of the camera and let's eat them. All right, James, you're gonna get a little one. There you go.
Thank you.
You know where yours is.
I think I'm gonna take this other little small one here.
Mmm. Well, this is really good. And good for you, huh?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of bad in here, so you can add salt and pepper to taste if you'd like.
Yeah, this is with no salt. This is good.
You don't even notice that there's no mayo. It's good.
All right, we're gonna plant tomatoes. Maybe you'll come back and teach us how to cook with tomatoes.
That'd be great.
I can find the recipe.
It's on everybodycraves.com. Go check it out. It's up there right now.
These are good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Doug.
Yum.
So we're just beginning our tomato planting. I'm not going to put my entire crop in this early in the season, although that probably be safe. They just love warm soil temperatures. So we'll be planting tomatoes all the way from now until July 4th, and we're starting with this big, as I said, cheater container tomato. This was originally conceived as a hanging basket. I would never plant it that way because I'd be watering it probably twice a day. So I've got a container here that's 10 gallons. That's for me the minimum for tomatoes. And all we're gonna do is kind of tap it out of the container it was in and sit it in here, and I've got it filled up with some nice potting mix. And we'll see what kind of roots we've got here. Oh man, that looks good. Right where I want it. And I'm gonna remove this off the bottom. A little dry, you can see, but we're gonna put it right in here. And it's good to go. Look at that. And it already has tomatoes on it that are orange. So as I said, it's a cheater. Number one thing when we plant these is to give them water right off the bat. And that's what we're gonna do. And then we're gonna plant some tomatoes in the ground. It's the official start of the season. And that's exciting. Our next cheater is a patio tomato, again, filled with tomatoes. We want the first tomato of the year. And we're putting it in the ground right here. This bed is just filled with nice compost. Whenever I plant tomatoes, I always remove what's on the bottom here, and that's gonna mean some tomatoes too, but that's okay. This is to prevent diseases. There are fungal spores in the ground. They're always going to be there, and they splash up and get onto the plant itself. We don't need this. I'm going to remove this, hopefully without damaging the tomato. And then we are planting over this long period of time to prevent diseases. We're going to plant some now, as I said, some in the next few weeks. These early plantings can be susceptible to things like early blight and septoria leaf spot. I'm going to put a little cage on this to hold it up. But you never know. We want to get some plants in early, some in later. Whoops. And we'll get this set. I always leave a slight depression for watering on these tomatoes. We put the mulch on, we'll put a little water on here, and then the next step is always to mulch them the day that we plant. Again, to try and stop those fungal spores from splashing up. Next is a nice coating of mulch. Tomatoes especially need mulch to keep that soil evenly moist all summer long. It's going to help make this plant thrive. All right, let's finish up. It was a fun day. For more information and tips about the first planting of tender crops, check me out online. That's also where you can join my Seed of the Month Club and follow me on my upcoming trip to London. We're going to see the best gardens the city has to offer. Until then, we'll see you next time.
I guess, how should we describe this?
The ribs down?
Yeah, I usually put the ribs down. So
Boy,
that
you're
way
really crowing about this recipe.
we have guests. Apparently they like tuna salad.